This pain won't last. Have faith and trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. This pain is not just hurting you. It's trying to convince you that it will never end. And that is where the real battle begins. Not only in what you feel, but in what you start to believe because of what you feel. The weight does not just sit on your life, it speaks to your mind. It tells you this is permanent. It tells you nothing will change. It tells you to stop expecting anything different. You keep going, but something inside you is tired. You pray, but it feels like your words fall back into silence. You try to stay strong, but the same situations keep repeating, and slowly, without realizing it, hope begins to weaken. Not because you chose to lose it, but because the pain stayed longer than you expected. And this is where many people get trapped. Not in the pain itself, but in the belief that the pain defines the future. But listen carefully. What if the pain is not permanent, but your perspective has made it feel that way? What if what you are living right now is not the end of your story, but a part of something that has not revealed its purpose yet? Because God does not waste pain. He uses it, not to destroy you, but to shape something in you that cannot be formed any other way. And if you misunderstand this moment, you will try to escape something that was meant to prepare you. In this message, you are going to understand why this pain has a limit, what it is revealing inside you, and how to hold on to faith even when everything around you feels uncertain. Stay with me, because what you are feeling right now is not the end of your story. Pain exposes what comfort hides. When everything is stable, when life feels under control, there are parts of you that remain unnoticed. Patterns, fears, insecurities, ways of thinking that stay hidden because nothing is challenging them. Comfort keeps things quiet, but it does not transform anything. Pain does. Pain disrupts what was normal. It removes the illusion of control. It brings to the surface what has been buried for a long time. And when that happens, it can feel overwhelming because now you are not only dealing with the situation around you, you are facing what is inside you. And this is where many people misunderstand what is happening. They think the pain came to destroy them, when in reality, it came to reveal them. It reveals where you are still fragile. It reveals what you still depend on. It reveals where your faith is strong and where it still needs to grow. Not to shame you, but to show you what needs attention. Because what is hidden cannot be healed. God does not expose something to hurt you. He exposes it so it can be transformed. And transformation always begins with awareness. You cannot change what you refuse to see. So when pain brings something to the surface, it is not working against you. It is creating an opportunity to face what was avoided, to understand what was ignored, and to begin a process that could not start any other way. And this is uncomfortable, because it removes the option of pretending everything is fine. But it is necessary, because once something is revealed, it demands a response. And that response begins to shape who you become next. What hurt you is not who you are. This is where many people get lost. When pain stays long enough, it stops feeling like an experience and starts feeling like an identity. You no longer say, "I went through something difficult." You begin to feel, "This is who I am now." Broken, rejected, weak, forgotten. And without realizing it, you start building your life around what hurt you. Your decisions change, your expectations change. The way you see yourself changes. You begin to protect yourself in ways that limit you. You avoid what once mattered. You lower what you believe is possible. Not because it is true, but because pain convinced you it is. But that is not your identity. What happened to you is real. It affected you. It left marks. But it did not define you. Your identity is not rooted in what you experienced. It is rooted in who God says you are through Jesus Christ. And this is where a shift must happen. Because as long as you see yourself through your pain, you will carry it in a way that was never meant for you. You will limit yourself based on something that was never supposed to have that authority. Pain is something you go through, not something you become. And when you begin to separate your identity from your experience, something changes. You stop interpreting everything through the lens of what hurt you. You begin to see beyond it. But even when you understand this, there is still a moment that challenges your faith deeply, because there are times when you feel like God is not there. Why does God feel distant when you need Him the most? This is one of the hardest moments in any spiritual journey. Not the presence of pain, but the feeling of silence. You reach out, you pray, you try to hold on. And instead of clarity, you are met with what feels like distance. And this creates a deeper struggle, because it is not just about what you are going through anymore. It is about what you start to believe about God in the middle of it. You begin to question, is he listening? Does he see me? Has he stepped away? And if this feeling stays long enough, it can begin to weaken your trust. But this is where perception can deceive you. God's silence is not the same as his absence. There are moments where God does not respond in ways you expect. Not because he is distant, but because he is working in a way that is not immediately visible. He is not limited to speaking through what you feel. He moves beyond your emotions, beyond your current understanding. Silence, in many cases, is where deeper work is happening. It is where your faith is stretched beyond dependency on immediate answers. It is where trust is built, not on constant reassurance, but on a deeper knowing that does not require constant confirmation. Think about it. If every moment came with clear answers, there would be no need for faith. And faith is not built in moments of clarity. It is built in moments where you choose to trust without seeing. This does not make the silence easy. It does not remove the discomfort, but it changes how you interpret it. You are not being ignored. You are being developed in a way that cannot happen when everything feels clear and controlled. And this understanding leads to something important. Because even in this silence, there is something that remains true. This moment you are in has a limit. This will not last forever. That may be hard to believe when you are in the middle of it, because pain has a way of stretching time. It makes days feel longer. It makes waiting feel heavier. And the longer it stays, the more it tries to convince you that this is permanent, but it is not. Pain feels endless when you are inside it, but it always operates within a boundary, a season, a limit that you may not see, but that has already been set. Nothing in your life is outside of God's awareness. Nothing escapes his control. And that means even what you are going through right now has a point where it ends. Not randomly, not without purpose, but at the right moment. And this changes how you carry it, because when you believe something is endless, you lose strength. But when you understand that it has a limit, you begin to endure it differently. You begin to see it not as a destination, but as a passage. Pain is not where you are meant to stay. It is something you pass through. Even in Scripture, every difficult season had a boundary. Every moment of struggle eventually gave way to something else. Not because the pain was ignored, but because it was never meant to be permanent. And this is where your perspective must shift. You are not trapped. You are moving through something. Even if it feels slow. Even if it feels uncertain. Even if you cannot see the end yet. The end exists. And while you are in this process, something else becomes essential. Because knowing that it will end does not remove what you feel right now. So the question becomes, how do you stand while you are still in it? You don't need to feel strong to remain standing. This is where many people struggle without realizing it. They think faith requires a certain feeling, confidence, certainty, emotional strength. And when those feelings are not there, they assume something is wrong with them. But faith was never meant to depend on what you feel. There will be moments where you feel tired, where your mind is heavy, your emotions are unstable, and your strength feels limited. Moments where nothing inside you feels confident or secure. And yet those are the exact moments where real faith is formed. Faith is not a feeling. Faith is a decision. It is choosing to stand, even when everything inside you wants to step back. It is choosing to trust, even when your thoughts are filled with questions. It is choosing to continue, even when your emotions are not supporting you. This is what sustains you. Because if your faith is based on feeling strong, it will disappear the moment you feel weak. But if your faith is rooted in a decision, it remains even when everything else feels unstable. You do not need to feel ready to keep going. You do not need to feel confident to continue trusting. You only need to choose not to give up. And that choice, even if it feels small, carries more power than you realize, because it keeps you moving forward. And while you're making that decision, something is happening that you may not fully see yet. You are not being broken. You are being shaped. What feels like it's breaking you is actually preparing you. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, because from your perspective, it feels like loss, pressure, confusion, instability. It feels like things are falling apart, not coming together. But not everything that looks like destruction is meant to destroy you. Some things are meant to reshape you. There are parts of who you were that cannot go with you into what God has prepared. Old patterns, old dependencies, old ways of thinking, and they do not leave isolated. They have to be confronted. Sometimes they have to be removed, and that process is not comfortable. It feels like something is being taken from you, like control is slipping, like you are being pushed beyond what you can handle. But what is really happening is deeper than that. God is not just fixing your situation, He is forming you. He is strengthening areas that were weak. He is refining what was unstable. He is building a version of you that can carry what is coming next, and that requires pressure. Because strength is not developed in ease, it is developed in resistance. Think about everything that is being challenged in you right now. Your patience, your trust, your ability to remain steady. These are not random struggles. These are areas being shaped intentionally. You are not being reduced, you are being prepared. And preparation often feels like discomfort before it feels like progress. But this changes how you interpret what you are going through. Because instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this producing in me? And that question leads you to a realization that changes everything, because what comes after this season will not be the same. What comes after this will not look like what came before. Right now it may feel like everything is uncertain, like you are walking through something without clear direction, without clear answers, without knowing how things will unfold. And because you cannot see what is ahead, your mind keeps trying to go back to what was familiar. But what was familiar is not where you are being led. You are not going through this just to return to the same place. Something is being changed at a deeper level. Not just your circumstances, but your capacity, your understanding, your strength, the way you see yourself and the way you relate to God. And that means what comes next cannot be the same, because you will not be the same. The way you respond will be different. The way you make decisions will be different. The things you accept, the things you pursue, the things you recognize. All of it shifts when you come through a season like this. And that is where hope becomes real. Not as something distant, but as something being formed. You are not just waiting for things to improve. You are becoming someone who will experience life differently when they do. And this is not a temporary adjustment. This is a transformation that continues beyond this moment, which means this pain is not leading you back. It is leading you forward. And if it is leading you forward, then it has a purpose that goes beyond what you are feeling right now. At the beginning, it felt like this pain was everything. It filled your thoughts, shaped your emotions, and made the future feel uncertain. It made you question how long it would last and whether anything would truly change. But now you can see it differently. The pain is real, but it is not permanent. The silence is difficult, but it is not abandonment. The pressure is heavy, but it is not destruction. Something has been happening in the middle of all of this. What was hidden is being revealed. What tried to define you is losing its power. What felt like distance is actually development. What seemed endless has a limit. What felt like weakness has been building strength. What looked like breaking has been preparing you. And what comes next will not be the same. You are not in the same place you were when this started. Even if your situation has not fully changed yet, something inside you has. And that internal change is not small. It is the beginning of everything else. So do not measure this moment only by what you can see. Measure it by what has already begun, because God has not left you. He has been working in ways you could not fully recognize until now. And if He has been working, then this season is not meaningless. It is purposeful. Hold on to that, because this pain will not last. But your faith, if you choose to keep it, will carry you into something greater than what you thought you lost.